morning and welcome to another live edition of Wealth Building Wednesday. Wealth Building Wednesday broadcast every single Wednesday right here on Facebook and YouTube, 10 o'clock a.m. Central Standard Time. If you're trying to tune in live, if you are not able to tune in live and would rather hear the audio, we rebroadcast every Wednesday, 1:30 in the afternoon on our media partner, WBFZ 105.3. Broadcasting all the way across the Black Belt of Alabama. Wealth Building Wednesday is a product of TRHT Selma. TRHT Selma exists as a partnership between the Selma Center for Nonviolence and the Black Belt Community Foundation. We are excited every Wednesday because we always bring you an amazing guest with great information. And today our guest is very much a part of our Wealth Building Wednesday family. Miss Sandy Hesley from Lifelines Counseling. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hey guys, excited to be here as always.
Yes, and you always bring us some great information. You put that information always where the goats can get it, so to speak, so that we can all understand it. Whether we're talking about credit or home ownership, we're not using acronyms that the people don't understand. We break it down for you. So today, will be just like that. And so again, thank you so much, Ms. Hesley, for your time. So we have a lot to talk about. We've been in communication since your last time here. I've been finding out about some different things that people are marketing out here, talking about this thing called credit. Now, I know sometimes people say, oh, that's a curse word. I don't want to know about my credit. But our credit is it hinges everything in our life. It's connected to those 9 numbers, our social security number, how America identifies us, and that credit score, those 3 numbers from those 3 companies that monitor how well we manage our bill paying system, right? Because we just have to create our own personal system.
Correct.
So now credit, it can help us. It can help us get better jobs. You talked about this the last time you were here with us. It can help us get better jobs, live in better neighborhoods. That's when our credit is good. But when it's bad, it can impact us. It can cause us to not have access to certain jobs, to not have access to certain funding streams, and other opportunities. So I wanted to though, in this moment, talk to you and ask you to help us better understand the numbers behind, like, what can actually happen to our spending plan or to our money when we have a low credit score. So like, let's consider the actual difference between what a person who has like a 780 or 820 credit score would pay for a car, the very same car, versus someone who has, say, like a 520.
Well, I pulled up some numbers, and this is just, for example's sake.
Yes.
But let's say somebody has a 7, like you said, a 780. And let's say they want to get their dream car. I'm just going to go big, know, a Mercedes, a Range Rover, something that's really up there and costly. So let's say they get an item and they want to, I tell you what, let me backtrack. Because I deal so much with mortgages, if you don't mind, let's use a mortgage.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
I deal so much with mortgages. Let's say you get approved for $150,000.
Okay.
Your dream house, and you're gonna go, traditionally 30 years fixed mortgage, and you have a score up there, a really good score. And we know that rates have just recently gone up.
Yes.
So let's say you qualify and you get an interest rate of, let's say, 5.64. Where you're looking at a monthly payment of like $865.
Okay.
Now, let's jump on down to like a 520. You're looking at an interest rate of like 9.29. which and like I said, I'm just throwing examples out there, which is gonna take your payment. You could have had an 865. That's gonna take your payment to $1,238.
Wow.
That's a huge difference.
That
Mm.
is.
So and like I said, and that's really not too far off because rates have gone up.
Mm-hmm.
Rates are ridiculous compared to how they were. I'm just 6, 7 months ago.
Right.
It's not like we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about a year or 2 years ago. We're talking about 6, 7 months ago. So
Wow.
there's a huge difference. That's why it pays to guard your credit,
Mm-hmm.
to monitor your credit,
Okay.
to pay debt on time as agreed,
Yeah.
keep debt to a minimum, and and you'll reap the rewards of that when it comes to, especially purchases, especially major purchases like this. And the same thing holds true to a car. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? You're going to get the better rate versus the high rate.
Absolutely. So it's really important. I wanted us to spend some time in having a conversation about the actual numbers, because so often we hear, good credit, versus bad credit, well, I can still get it.
Mhm.
Yes, you can still get it, but the amount you're going to pay, what you're going to pay in the long run. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
for purchasing a car, you're talking about potentially paying interest rates that are aligned with a credit card
Yeah. You're right.
versus, right,
You're right.
versus the
Uh-huh.
zero. Like, we see the beautiful commercials, they're out now, because the 2022s have got to fly off the lot and
Yeah.
zero down and 0% interest. It's like, but it says in the fine print for qualified buyers.
Yep.
Right. And qualified buyers typically is going to end up being a high credit score.
Hmm.
So even higher than like a 650. So you're gonna,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. So like what you said, you gotta guard your credit,
Mhm.
because in the long run you save money by making sure you pay your bills on time. And like you said, not just on time, but as agreed.
Hmm.
Right. Like, well, you said my minimum payment. I'm paying on time, but it wasn't the minimum payment.
Yeah.
Like, and pay more than the minimum if you
Yeah.
can. Yeah, if
Hmm.
you got that credit card, honey, or you're financing something, pay more than what they're asking you to pay so that you can cut that interest down even further.
Hmm.
So now, are there any banking products? Because I know home ownership is on the mind of a lot of folks in our community. And so we're trying to get our credit scores where we can pay less. We want that 800 house note, that mortgage, as opposed to paying that 1200. So like, are there any banking products that you're aware of that can kind of help us build or improve our credit to get it to where we can qualify for that 800 a month?
Well, the biggest banking product is going to be your secured loans.
Okay.
It's going to be either a secured credit card or just a secured loan or secured line of credit. That those are going to be the products, the banking products that are going to generally help you to try and help build that credit score back up.
Okay.
And it's going to take you investing your own money, basically.
Okay.
And but those are the main products that banks offer that could help you um, on the road to rebuilding your credit.
And let
And
me
it
just
just is,
say, we've had guests that have not represented banking institutions, but work for banking institutions, including yourself, who have
Mhm.
made the statement that it's important to have a relationship
Yep.
with your banking institution.
Yep.
So why would having a relationship with a bank or a credit union be important when it comes to, like you said, the secured loans or getting mortgages and things like that?
Because sometimes there's incentive because you're a customer.
Mhm.
Um, uh, Usually, like with us, when I was in banking, if you had an account with us, if you had a relationship with us, that's what they looked at. And like I said, there was incentive tied to it for you, getting additional products with that institution. When you look at uh, especially when it comes to gathering information, all of your information is right there, so it's a lot easier to go
Mm,
ahead and capture that information and start processing that loan application and things of that nature because it's already right
right
there.
there. Okay.
So and when you have an established relationship, especially with your banker, there's a level of trust there. You understand what I'm saying? There's a
Mm-hmm.
relationship there, so they're going to work really hard. Not saying that they're not going to work hard for for other customers, but when you have that established relationship with your banker, somebody that you're connected to, it's a lot easier. It flows a lot. Easier in my experience when you have that relationship with your bank. And a lot of times when clients come to us and they're going through the first time home buyers seminar, and
Mm-hmm.
then we have their one-on-one with them, when we have that one-on-one, we're trying to make sure that they income qualify and credit ready to move forward. The program that we really push, or that we're really working with, is the City Mobile's Down Payment Assistance Program.
Okay.
And the city has a certain they have their own lenders list, lenders that they work with to work through the program. But the first thing that we do as counselors is we ask them, who do you bank with? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's the first one that we're going to tell them to go to,
Okay.
because you have that established relationship. You understand what I'm saying? So
Mm-hmm.
that's the first thing that I ask them. So it makes a difference having an established relationship with a banking institution.
And so now relationship, and we're going to move to the next question. But when I'm listening to what how you're explaining, having it makes a difference when you have an existing relationship or a pre-existing relationship. Does relationship mean that I just simply have an account there, or does relationship mean that I leave money there? Because I've had conversations with folks who have had a tendency in the past to have, let's just say, like direct deposits made, whether it's for from some sort of government assistance or from their job, but then within 24 hours of that direct deposit, they literally physically go to the bank and they pull the money back out so that they're dealing with cash.
Mm-hmm.
Would that be considered having a relationship, or what are your recommendations around how we handle our money when it comes to building that relationship with our banker?
You don't want to be, and my grandkids have this word sus,
Okay.
suspect.
Yes.
That just drives me crazy. Sus. That's a little
Yes.
sus
That's
to me.
us, right?
But when you're snatching everything out as soon as it gets in there, what are you doing? You
Okay.
want to have an audit trail. And,
Mm,
that's my bank. But you don't have really a relationship with them if you're just going and snatching everything out as soon as it gets in there. You
okay.
know what I'm saying? We want to know, when it comes to lending, when it comes to, purchasing a house, purchasing a car, we need to look at your account and it needs to tell a story.
Mm-hmm.
You,
Okay.
you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So when you come snatching out all of your money, the story you're telling me is, I really don't trust y'all. I'm taking this money. I
Yeah.
don't know, and I don't know what you're doing with it. And some people think, well, it's my money. You don't need to know. Yes, I do. When you come and you want to take some of my money, the bank's money, want to
Mm,
borrow our money. You understand
mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? So it's a give
Mm-hmm.
and take. And so when you come take it all out, how do I know that you're handling your finances the way that you should? That would tell me that you're ready to borrow money to purchase this car, to purchase this house.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
it
So
does.
you need to tell a story. So even though my bank is Regions, but do you really have a relationship with Regions? You
Right.
understand what I'm saying? Or is Regions an associate? You know how you have friends and you have
Friends and
associates. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah,
yeah.
so it makes a difference. So yeah, you have a banking relationship with me, but how deep does that relationship really go? And
Yeah.
how much do you trust me in this relationship? You want
Yeah.
us to trust you with this $100,000, but you don't want to trust us with your 2,000 that you
All
have
right.
going to your account every month. You see
All
what I'm
right.
saying? So you have to, that's kind of how you have to look at it.
All right. Now, see, this is an important conversation to have because we got to know how these relationships work.
Mhm.
And the bank wants to know, like, do you
Yeah.
trust us? Because I mean, it literally them off any banking institution or any person for that matter. If you
Yeah,
look, if you somebody say, "Girl, let me borrow $200," do I trust you with that $200?
yeah,
What have
exactly.
yourself I monitored about you? Do you buy your shoes before you pay your light bill? I don't know if I trust you with my
Exactly.
$200. Like,
Exactly.
so we like I said, we've been talking throughout, since your last visit with us here on Wealth Building Wednesday. And so if folks are just tuning in, we're talking about credit, and we're walking through a conversation related to building banking relationships, and the difference that your credit score actually makes when purchasing, especially making major purchases. Wanted to ask you though about this thing that I ran across. I saw an article in a magazine, an online magazine, um, about something called credit privacy numbers, or CPNs. What in the world is a CPN? Please explain it to the people.
Well, what it is similar to a social security number. It's a
Okay.
9-digit number, and it's similar to a social security number. And you have to go through the Social Security Administration to obtain the number.
Okay.
Okay. And a lot of people at one point, and they may still be doing it, the credit repair, and I hate to sound like I'm beating up on them, but I'm not. Credit repair companies were marketing, getting you that number to
Mm-hmm.
help start you a new credit file. Like if your credit is jacked up,
Mm-hmm.
we'll just get your CPN number and get you started all over again. And that is not the way that it works. It does not work that way. And especially with it coming from the Social Security Administration, they're going to link the two together.
Right.
So, you can't really separate them. And the thing for me is we got to learn to stop trying to take shortcuts.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
If if you turn that car in because you couldn't pay it anymore, I get it. Life happens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying stuff doesn't happen. I totally get it. But make arrangements to pick yourself up, see where I am, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, get
Yeah.
with the company. Okay, how can I fix this? How can
Yeah.
I, get things straightened out? If it belongs to you, make arrangements to pay it. Stop trying to find a way to get from around it, because eventually it's going to catch back up with you. So that was the whole thing with the CPN number. And you really have to present a legitimate reason for needing the number.
Mm.
And just
Okay.
I just want one. No, you got to have a legit reason for wanting it. So it's almost like you have to apply for it, but you have to
Okay.
qualify for the number. And what I read was that a lot of famous people,
Mm-hmm.
high up people would get this number and to protect their privacy, which I
Right.
totally get. I
Right.
totally get it. So you have to really have a legit reason for needing a CPN number. You can't just decide that I want to get it. My credit's jacked up. I want to just start over fresh. So I tell you what, let me get a CPN number so I can start applying for. No, it doesn't work that way.
I'm so glad that you have shared these facts with us, because literally, the article that I was reading was talking about the level of fraud that some of, like you said, the credit repair services,
Mm-hmm.
the fraud that they were committing by listing false reasons for
Mm-hmm.
their clients to need a CPN. And the fact that people, the IRS and others, Social Security Administration, Department of Justice, were
Mm-hmm.
cracking down
Yeah.
on folks who are doing that. In addition to some other things that are happening in American finances, and
Mm-hmm.
people, like you said, you're gonna pay for it one way or the other. You may, think that you've gotten away with it, but think about the habits that you still have that won't
Mm-hmm.
benefit you, right? If you're not working on that credit yourself and start to pay those things down. Because if we think about it, our spending plans, our budgets tell us where our priorities are.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if shoes and clothes and cars are the priority, then, that's one going to say a lot to our children, because that's when we leave here, that's when they really get to know who we are,
Yeah, you're exactly right.
and where our priorities have been. But at the end of the day, if those have been your priorities, that's still going to be your priority. You haven't learned any new ways to handle that, your relationship with your money.
Mm-hmm.
So that CPN, honey, you'll have to run through 5 or 6 CPNs,
Yeah.
because you'll still have that same
Mm-hmm.
those same bad money habits.
Yeah.
So I am so glad that you share this information, that you talk to with us about CPNs, and help people understand that is not an easy way for you to clear your credit record. The easiest way
Pay your
is,
bills.
hello
Pay
somebody.
'em. Pay 'em.
Honey, if we don't eat lunch out every week or every day,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Then let's put all of that money, set that money aside, put that $10 or $20 a day to the side, and put it on your lowest bill,
Yeah.
and start eating away at that debt. And then that way we learn that the habits that we have had, and I'm a living witness. Like, I'm not talking about anything that I haven't had to go through
Oh
myself.
yeah.
So, because,
Mm-hmm.
honey, look, the lady I've told y'all before, the lady at Nordstrom's knew my name when I walked in the shoe department. Like,
Yeah.
hey, Miss Chapman. So I know what it is,
Mm-hmm.
to have to change your habits. Money, I've mastered this. Well, not fully mastered, but the eating. Look, that's what we call my dietary habits. We got to change now. So, wanted to, though, let's talk about something that we've talked about in the past, but talking about our credit from the perspective of when life happens. So now, if we've increased our credit score, right, we've taken the steps we've paid our bills, we've increased our credit score, qualified for a mortgage, purchased a beautiful home with our spouse, this dream home that you talked about earlier. Life happens, divorce happens, 5 or 10 years down the road. What's next when it comes to our credit? Like, when we are within a marriage, and then now we are divorcing, or in a civil, like a legal relationship, and we're separating, what is next when it comes to managing our credit?
Have a good divorce attorney.
Okay.
Have a good divorce attorney,
Okay.
because you want to make sure that when everything is divvied up,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and
Mm-hmm.
especially with that house, because if you decide to keep the house,
Mm-hmm.
or let's say if you decide to give him that house,
Mm-hmm.
okay, give him or her that house, the other individual that house, but your name is on it, you make sure that everything is stipulated. They have to get it refinanced within such and such time frame. If not, then it needs to go up for sale so that it can be sold. Proceeds after house is paid off are divided, like, as such,
Okay.
because you want to get your name off of it. You
Okay.
don't want that debt. You understand what I'm saying? Because
Mm-hmm.
it's tying up your debt to income, for one. And then how do you know that the other half is going to keep that mortgage up? They're going to pay it, because when they stop paying it, that's
Mm-hmm.
going to negatively impact you. So you have to make sure that that part of it is taken care of, to free up your credit. That's the biggest thing. And that's what happens a lot of times. They separate, be it divorce, or the civil
Mm-hmm.
union is dissolved, and one person gets the house, but they drag their feet about following through with what the divorce,
Mm-hmm.
or what the court sold or refinanced within a certain period of time. So the thing of it is that you want it out of your name,
Okay.
so that you can protect your credit.
Okay, so now what then happens in cases, say, like with bankruptcy? Um, how do we, or what is bankruptcy exactly?
Well, With bankruptcy,
Mm-hmm.
what happens is, I mean, bankruptcy, all it is it's a legal process where people cannot repay their debts, their creditors,
Mm-hmm.
and they're trying to get some relief.
Okay.
Okay. And it's something that is imposed by a court. You have to go through the court to get it.
Okay.
So, there are different types of bankruptcies, and the most common are like Chapter 7, where you basically liquidate everything, pay what you can, and the rest is just done away with. Dead is
Okay.
wiped clean.
Okay.
Chapter 13 is more of a restructuring, a repayment, where you're like, I can't pay these debts the way that I'm supposed to pay them now. Can you come up with a repayment plan that I'm comfortable with? I want to pay you, but I just can't pay you the way that I was paying you. So they come up with a repayment plan for you. So that's basically what bankruptcy does, what bankruptcy is. And then you would of course need to get with a bankruptcy attorney to see like which
Okay.
one you qualify for. You understand what I'm saying? And the bankruptcy attorney would take you through the process.
So, how does bankruptcy, because it sounds like bankruptcy sometimes may even be the remedy to the previous question that we were talking about with divorce, where a spouse or a significant other, you all have business ties together, things have not been handled well. And can bankruptcy help untie some of that so that you can free yourself of?
I mean, sometimes that is the only option. Now, if you've
Mhm.
been married and unfortunately something like money
Mhm.
will tear up a marriage before infidelity. And
Mm.
it's just crazy, but it will. And sometimes the struggle has been so long and so hard that that's the only option that they do have. Um, and sometimes you divorce, and I want to keep the house, but I can't continue to pay this mortgage by myself.
Mhm.
So, you sell it. If you can't sell it, then that might be the only option. But the way that I look at it is, and then sometimes going through bankruptcy, you would have to do that in order to save the house because you don't want to lose the house. You
Okay.
understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
To stave off foreclosure.
Okay.
Sometimes that's the only option that you have.
Mm.
And I hope I'm not all over the place, Lydia, because stuff keep popping in my head.
But
But
this is helping us make sense of some things, that we may have, that we may have seen people struggle with or
yeah,
gone through ourselves.
yeah.
Hmm.
And so with bankruptcy, that may be your only option. And what I try and tell people, for so long it was a stigma attached to filing bankruptcy and all of that. You
Hmm.
got to do what you got to do to take care of yourself, your family, maintain a roof over your head, all that kind of stuff. And then some people worried about their credit. Well,
Right.
your credit is probably already jacked anyway. It's already fell so far down that this is an opportunity for you to take the band-aid off the bleeding,
Hmm.
and let's apply some serious treatment to it to
Okay.
stop the bleeding. You're
Okay.
just putting a band-aid, but it's still gushing out. You need to attack the source of it. And sometimes filing bankruptcy is about the only thing that you can do, to take care of your current financial situation. I hope I answered that. It was all over the place.
You did. And so what then happens to our credit in a situation like you said, going into bankruptcy? Credit is probably already not the best.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens? I've heard about this seven, and I'm again sitting in the seat of someone who may have this question. You've
Mm-hmm.
heard this 7 year policy around bankruptcy. So if what happens to your credit or ability to make major purchases if you're in the midst of a bankruptcy?
Well, with that situation, it can stay on your credit up to 7 years, and it
Okay.
typically does. But the older, the longer, the later, the
Hmm.
less impact it has on it. You
Okay.
understand what I'm saying? So, you know, I filed or was discharged 5 years ago. It
Mhm.
has less impact on your credit as it did when it was just a year ago that I was discharged. You see what I'm
Okay.
saying? So
Okay.
it can impact it. Sometimes your score can plummet as much as 150 points, after filing bankruptcy. It
Oh,
really
wow.
can. But it will gradually rebuild as you pay that debt down and once you get out of bankruptcy as well. Now, a lot of people, and I think I'm crossing over into the other question
Mhm.
about qualifying or, being able to, get
Yes.
loans and things like that.
Yes.
You can, but I'll say this, and I really, like I said, I keep saying I deal more with mortgages, and because we've had the situation come up all the time. And I spoke with a mortgage lender because if you go out there online and Google, can I still buy a house while I'm in bankruptcy?
Mhm.
It'll tell you, yeah.
Yep. Mhm.
And there are a lot of things that you can do: get loans, buy a house while in bankruptcy. Yeah, you can, but will a lender lend you the money? That's the question. And you have to get approval through the courts. You have to get approval from the trustee of the courts in order to make that purchase.
Oh, wow.
Will a mortgage lender lend you the money for a mortgage loan? No.
Okay.
You have to be out of bankruptcy, and I'm saying discharge,
Mhm.
2 years before you're able to, uh,
Okay.
before they're able to extend a loan to you. And I think this is like an FHA thing because I had a lender that tried to do that for a lady who was out, like she had been out of bankruptcy she was shy of 1 week of 2 years,
Oh,
and
no.
they declined it. And then she waited a couple of weeks and reapplied,
Mhm.
automatic approval.
Oh, wow.
So it does make a difference. So yes, you can get loans. It's hard to do it, and you have to get approval through the courts.
Okay.
But it still depends on that lending institution as to whether or not they want to take a chance.
Okay. So now I know that our time has been well spent. You're always such a wealth of information, but I do wanted to I want us to just kind of close out with your recommendations on some of the most critical things that we all need either to do or not to do in order to maintain good credit, because we don't want to now we have to use bankruptcy as a way to resolve our financial complications or challenges that we are experiencing, then by all means do, like you said, do what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
But to keep from facing something like a bankruptcy, or to keep from facing lower credit scores and having to pay higher interest rates, what are some of the most critical things that you would recommend to us?
I mean, the biggest thing is paying your bills on time and as agreed. When you can put extra on, by all means, do so.
Mhm.
Keep your credit utilization down. We want it at 25% or lower,
Okay.
meaning whatever your limit is, try not to charge over 25% of whatever that credit limit is.
Okay.
Really weigh whether or not you need to apply for credit for something. Do I really need this right now?
Okay.
Is there another option? Don't be so quick to apply for credit for everything. Um, Keep old credit accounts open
Okay.
because that helps your credit score as well. People think I've had that credit card so long, I'm gonna close it. No, don't do that. Keep it open because it helps your credit score. But guard your credit. Weigh whether or not you really need credit when it comes to applying for something. Don't be so quick to apply for something, and um, pay your bills on time and as agreed, and keep your credit utilization down, and watch your debt to income ratio, meaning
Okay.
don't have a bunch of credit out there unnecessarily, but guard your credit and
All right.
check your credit, keep track of
Yeah.
your credit, check your credit, because a lot of people don't do it. You should keep up with your credit. You should check your credit.
Okay. Well, y'all, she has dropped tons of nuggets for us to pick up as we travel this journey towards our wealth, as we travel this journey towards financial fitness. Okay. So we want to thank you again, Ms. Hesley, for being here for us, for sharing this information. I do want to, though, invite you to share your contact information because listen here. Just because she is located in Mobile does not mean that she cannot service you no matter where you are listening from in the state of Alabama. So please, Ms. Hesley, if you don't mind sharing your contact information with us, what number can we dial if we want to if we have questions or want to seek out your services?
You can call me at 251-602-0011.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
then you can shoot me an email, SHESLEY
Mhm.
at ccsmobile.org.
Awesome. So thank you so very much for being here. And thank you for tuning in and watching and or listening to another episode of Wealth Building Wednesday. As always, Wealth Building Wednesday broadcasts every single Wednesday, 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, right here on Facebook or YouTube. And again, the audio broadcast, rebroadcast the same day on our media partner, WBFZ 105.3. I am so excited about all of the questions I know that have come in as we have moved through this conversation. And we look forward to having you back again, Ms. Hesley, to answer some of these questions I know about bankruptcy. Look, and these CPNs. We've had an awesome time with you and look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks. I
Until
always enjoy it.
Absolutely. Until next Wednesday, y'all get out here and start building your wealth.